Welcome back to Fluent English Power, the podcast where we unravel the magic of language. I'm Luna.
And I'm Mason. Today, we're diving headfirst into a topic that's not just about words, but about connection, emotion, and impact. Mastering English storytelling to captivate any audience.
Absolutely, Mason. It's funny, we often think of storytelling as something kids do, or maybe ancient bards, but in reality, it's the bedrock of communication, whether you're pitching an idea, giving a presentation, or even just telling your friends about your weekend.
Exactly. Think about it. When was the last time someone just rattled off a bunch of facts and you were completely hooked? Probably never. But if they wove those facts into a narrative, suddenly you're leaning in, right?
100%. I remember this one time I was at a conference and the speaker was, well, let's just say they had all the credentials in the world, but their delivery was drier than a desert. My mind just kept drifting to what I was going to have for lunch.
Been there. And then a different speaker comes on, maybe less accomplished on paper, but they start with a personal anecdote, a small, relatable story. Suddenly, the whole room is engaged. It's like magic.
It is magic, and it's not about having some innate mystical ability. It's about understanding a few core principles. So for our listeners today, let's break down how to become that captivating storyteller.
I think the first most crucial step, Luna, is understanding your audience. It sounds basic, but it's often overlooked. You can have the most incredible story, but if it doesn't resonate with the people listening, it falls flat.
That's so true. It's like trying to tell a sophisticated literary analysis to a group of 5-year-olds. They're just going to stare at you blankly and ask for juice.
Or vice versa. Trying to explain the intricacies of a complex scientific theory using only overly simplified analogies to a group of experts, you'll lose credibility. So before you even think about what story you're going to tell, think about who you're telling it to. What are their interests? What are their concerns? What do they already know, and what do they need to know?
And what's their emotional landscape? Are they looking for inspiration, a good laugh, a moment of reflection? Knowing that helps you tailor not just the content, but the tone.
Absolutely. Once you've got your audience in mind, the next big piece of the puzzle is the story's core message. Every great story has a point. It's not just a series of events, it's a vehicle for an idea.
Think of it like a journey. The events are the road you're traveling, but the core message is the destination. You want to make sure your audience arrives at that destination with you.
Right, so before you start crafting the narrative, ask yourself, what's the single most important takeaway I want my audience to have? What do I want them to feel or do after hearing this?
And don't be afraid to keep it simple. Sometimes the most profound messages are the simplest. Hard work pays off. Kindness matters. Never give up. These are all incredibly powerful core messages that can be brought to life through a story.
Speaking of bringing things to life, let's talk about the structure. Even seemingly spontaneous stories usually follow some kind of arc, even if it's subconscious. The classic hero's journey isn't just for epic myths, it's woven into everyday narratives.
The most basic structure is usually setup, rising action, climax, falling action, and resolution. Or, as I like to think of it, here's how things were, then something happened, it got intense, things calmed down, and here's how they are now.
And this something happened part, that's your conflict. Every good story needs conflict. It doesn't have to be a dragon-slaying battle, it can be an internal struggle, a misunderstanding, a challenge at work. Without conflict, there's no tension, no reason for the audience to care.
Exactly. Imagine a story that goes, I woke up, I had breakfast, I went to work, I came home. Snoozeville. But if you add, I woke up and realized I'd accidentally swapped my briefcase with a stranger on the train. Now I had someone else's top secret documents and my boss was expecting my presentation in an hour. Now we're talking.
Now that's a story. The conflict is what propels the narrative forward and keeps the audience hooked, wondering what's going to happen next. It creates that sense of anticipation.
And a key element in creating that anticipation and truly making your story come alive is using vivid descriptions and sensory details. Don't just tell us it was a cold day. Tell us the frost bit at your exposed skin and your breath plumed like smoke in the frigid air.
Yes, engage all 5 senses. What did you see, hear, smell, taste, feel? The more you can transport your audience into your experience, the more real and impactful your story will be. It's the difference between a flat black and white photograph and a vibrant, immersive 3D movie.
I think of it as painting with words. You're giving your audience the brushstrokes and colors to create the scene in their own minds. And when they're actively building that picture, they're more invested.
This is where vocabulary comes into play, but not in a way that's about showing off. It's about precision, choosing the right word to evoke a specific image or feeling rather than just a generic one.
Definitely. And speaking of emotion, let's talk about emotion. Stories that don't evoke emotion are just facts. Great stories make us feel something: joy, sadness, fear, triumph, frustration.
That's the power of empathy. When you share your vulnerability, your struggles, your triumphs, your audience can connect with that on a human level. They see themselves in your shoes, or they understand what it would be like to be there.
And it's not about being overly dramatic or theatrical, unless that's your authentic style. It's about being genuine. If you felt excited, let that excitement come through in your voice and in your words. If you were scared, convey that fear.
Right. Authenticity is key. People can spot a faker a mile away. So be yourself and let your genuine emotions naturally infuse your storytelling.
Another critical element is character. Even if you're the only character in your story, how you portray yourself and anyone else involved matters. What are their motivations? What are their quirks?
Even if it's a quick mention of a boss or a colleague, a little detail can make them feel more real. My perpetually optimistic colleague Sarah, who always had a bizarrely cheerful outlook even on Mondays. Instantly, you have a sense of who Sarah is.
It adds flavor, doesn't it? It makes the world of your story richer and more believable, and it helps your audience connect with the individuals in your narrative.
Let's talk about pace. Not all stories need to be told at a breakneck speed. Sometimes slowing down, allowing for a moment of reflection, or building up suspense can be incredibly effective.
It's like a symphony, right? You have your crescendos, your dramatic moments, but you also have your quieter, more contemplative passages. Varying your pace keeps the audience engaged and prevents monotony.
And silence can be incredibly powerful. A well-placed pause can let a significant point sink in or build tension before a big reveal. Don't be afraid of the empty space.
That's a great point, Mason. I think new storytellers often feel the need to fill every second with words, but sometimes less is more.
Absolutely. And related to pace is the idea of keeping it concise. While we want vivid details, we don't want unnecessary filler. Every sentence, every word should serve a purpose.
Edit mercilessly. Look for redundant phrases, details that don't advance the plot or reveal character, and anything that might bore your audience. If it doesn't add value, take it out.
It's about respecting your audience's time and attention. They're giving you their ears, so make sure every moment is worth it.
And finally, for this first part, I'd say practice, practice, practice. Storytelling isn't something you master overnight. It's a skill that develops with time and effort.
Tell stories to your friends, your family, your pets if you have to. Record yourself, listen back, and identify areas for improvement. The more you tell stories, the more comfortable and natural you'll become.
Exactly. Start small. Share an interesting experience from your day. Recount a funny mishap. Then gradually build up to more complex narratives.
Because ultimately, Luna, what we're talking about here isn't just about crafting a perfect narrative. It's about building a bridge between you and your audience. It's about sharing a piece of yourself, your perspective, and connecting on a deeper level.
And when you achieve that connection, that's when you truly captivate. That's when your words resonate long after they've been spoken.
So to recap part 1 for our listeners, know your audience, define your core message, understand basic story structure with conflict, use vivid descriptions and sensory details, infuse emotion, develop your characters, vary your pace, be concise, and most importantly, practice.
Fantastic summary, Mason. We've covered a lot of ground today, and hopefully our listeners are already feeling inspired to start weaving their own tales.
I certainly hope so. We'll be diving even deeper into advanced techniques, delivery tips, and overcoming common storytelling hurdles in part 2.
So you won't want to miss that. Thank you for joining us on Word Weavers. I'm Luna.
And I'm Mason. Keep those stories coming.